After waiting over a year, the much anticipated sequel to A Quiet Place hits theaters.
And Milton only crapped his pants 7 times.
True story that he was not supposed to tell. All on this episode of the Project Finding Good podcast with Kevin and Milton.
All right, welcome to another episode of the Project Finding Good podcast. Milton, that's okay. We're not going to hold it against you.
Thank you.
This was a little bit of a scary fest.
A little bit.
But it was awesome. Quiet Place 2. It's in theaters, and we are actually in a theater right now, recording at Village Cinemas.
Yes.
In the Village in Meridian, Idaho. Great place to come see the movies. My favorite part, the reclining chairs.
Oh yeah, we
Yes.
did. And you and I did see this together.
Yes.
Came here, had the sodas, had the chill atmosphere.
Yep.
Let's talk about before the movie even started.
Okay.
An old guy walks in, right?
This was great.
This was awesome.
Yeah.
Wearing a mask, which is cool. You know, you wear your mask if you got to. Popcorn in one arm.
He's going to his wife.
Going to his wife, walking in the row in front of us, and he turns around to all of us sitting there, and he's like, "How does it feel to be out together again?" Yeah. And we're like, "Yeah, man!"
Yeah,
it's like
excited.
a cheerleading.
He's like, "It's been 16 long months."
It was so
I
awesome.
wanted to give him a hug.
I did, man. I did. But
For a high five.
But the excitement of being back in the theater, you
Yes.
know. And you even told me that another movie you went to, the theater was pretty much packed. So people.
So
are coming
I actually
back.
saw this twice. I saw it before you.
Yeah,
because
you cheated on me.
I couldn't wait.
Appreciate it.
I couldn't wait. You were like, "Okay, we're gonna see this about a couple weeks after it hits theaters." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm not doing that." So I'm seeing it now.
Sorry,
So
I'm
I actually watched the first movie, and then literally when it ended, went to the theater.
You are hardcore, man.
It was awesome.
You are hardcore.
All right, so we're going to talk about the whole movie.
Yeah.
So spoiler alert, if you haven't seen it and you don't want to know what happens, maybe go check that out first at the Village Cinema and then come back and
Definitely.
watch this, all right? So it's Quiet Place Part 2.
Yes.
A continuation of Part 1, because that's how this works.
Yeah, that's pretty much how it works. Sequels work, man.
It was part prequel, part sequel. So
Yeah.
they both told the origin story of like day one, and then fast forwarded right to where the last movie cut off.
Yeah, day
and told-
500, and I forget what the number was.
Told the rest of the story. And aliens attack, and we're all surviving. That's what this movie is about.
That's basically it. And of course, if you've never seen The Quiet Place before, these monsters, they attack. They can't see, so they attack by sound. If they hear something, they go for it. They kill it. They eat it.
Yes.
Right. Right? Basically, so this family, well, all of humanity is figuring out how to survive as these monsters are going around, and we pick up this family that. You know, if you haven't seen the first one, the dad dies in the first one. But their big issue is they have this newborn baby. And you know babies aren't quiet if
No.
you've ever had one. So
Yeah.
how do you transport a
My
baby?
14-year-old isn't quiet.
There you go.
They never shut.
How do you transport this baby without being killed?
Right.
Is basically. And then the other element that was unexpected is that we see the other humans
Yes.
that exist, and we find out that they're not all great people.
No, I mean they
Right.
have learned to survive in a lot of very horrible ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think one of the things that bugged me is that they classify this movie as a horror movie.
Yeah.
And it's not a horror movie. It's a thriller.
For sure.
It's certainly got a lot of jump scenes in it.
Oh,
But
yeah.
you know, it's not overly gory. There's no demonic stuff. There's not a lot of language in it. It's actually a pretty clean movie.
Yeah.
And well written and beautifully shot.
Oh, yeah.
So John Krasinski, I think that's how you pronounce his name,
Yeah.
from The Office, and his wife Emily Blunt, who did an
Right.
amazing job in part one, comes back. But the real breakout star of this is the female teen lead.
Yes.
She has a really cool name that I can't even remotely pronounce.
No.
It starts with an M.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's deaf.
Yep.
Right.
In real
she
life
has
too. Did you know that?
No, I did not know
Yeah,
that.
she's deaf
really
in real life.
Okay. And she wears a hearing assistant device, right? And she becomes the hero of this story, which you would think the way the movie is, she's the least likely hero.
Oh yeah.
Because here's the problem. Here's her problem. Here's her limitation, right? And I've had ministry with deaf people, and they don't see themselves as limited in any way. I just want you to know that. Yeah. To them, they are as capable as anyone else, and I agree with them. But in this situation with these monsters, she's the least capable person of being the hero because she can't hear. Right. When the monster drops out of the sky into the room that she's in, she doesn't even know the monster's there.
No clue.
Like anyone else would know. And I think they did a great job of silencing the movie when we're inside her head and you just see movement behind her, and and you're trying to tell her like, turn around because the thing is about to eat you, you know?
It's one of my favorite parts of the Quiet Place Part 1, and then of course he continued it, is John, the writer and director, was able to put the movie-going audience inside the world of his deaf lead.
Yes.
By silencing. I mean, to go into a movie and have sequences where there's no sound, but that really puts you into her head. I thought it was brilliant.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
And it was a weird balance of intensity and peace.
Yeah.
I don't know if you experienced that. Like, it goes quiet.
I didn't experience much peace in this movie.
did. There were moments where it goes silent, and I just like, whew.
Right.
And then you see the movement, and then it's like, oh, it's like you're like moving. And I would guess that's how her existence was, right? This character has the peace of silence, but has the anxiety of like, at any moment I could die.
Yeah. Well, you love that character, but you didn't like a lot of the others.
Oh my goodness, please. Okay.
This part is actually like consistent with the horror genre.
Yeah, there's always that one character that makes all the stupid decisions.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you're in the safest place.
Right.
You're in this pit. There's a door, a steel concrete door above you. Just stay there. Do not move. But no, let me go upstairs and let me go explore where dead bodies are and where monsters are running all over the place. Let me leave my little baby brother in this air sealed thing who is about to die, so that I can not be bored? What is wrong with teenagers these days?
That is a teenager thing to do. Yeah.
I hated that part. Really did. Really hated.
It's certainly, I mean, I got to think back. If I was in a horror movie, I would think I would be that person.
Yeah.
That one, the guy that walks into a shed with a bunch of knives and pitchforks hanging everywhere. I'm like, oh crap.
You're
again.
the exact character that I hate. I think that's why I stopped watching horror movies, because of the stupidity of it, not because of the fear.
Well, we're out there.
What is to do?
A great theme of the movie, though, was the power of young people.
Oh, man,
and
so
we
good.
love this. You've been a youth leader. I'm a youth leader right now.
Yeah.
Just empowering young people in their ability to go and change the world and do amazing things. And I love that the lead of this movie, the savior of the world, is a teenager in this movie.
I love it too, and I've seen it over and over. Teens who have been empowered and do great things, and I've also seen the other side of the coin, teens or young people in their 20s and 30s who've been held back and said, you're not ready, you're not old enough, you don't have enough experience, you don't have enough training. Forget that. And I want to encourage anyone who's listening to us who's in their teens, in their 20s, in their 30s, like, you have an idea, you have something you want to do, you want to make a difference in the world, go for it. Don't let any old person like Kevin or Milton tell you that you can't. Because you have power, you have energy, you have ideas, and we need you. We need what you have to make this world the best that it could be.
Yeah. I mean, it's consistent if you read any kind of scripture that the majority of heroes in the Bible were young.
Definitely.
Jesus did the majority of his ministry when he was in his 30s.
Early 30s.
You have David, who was like a young kid.
Yeah.
I mean, he was teens, and then got just a ton of power very early on.
Yeah. And David's a perfect example of this teenager who, anointed as a very young age, chosen by God, and everybody overlooked him, and everybody told him, shut up, stay back. He goes, hey, I'll kill Goliath. And they're like, shut up, like, sit down, it's not your time. And he goes and he does it, right? Because he believes in himself, because he believes in his calling, he believes in his God, and he believes in the power that God has given him. And I want every young person to feel that and experience that and just be energized by that to do good.
Yeah. It's interesting to talk about Because I do think there's a flip coin. I mean, there's always two sides of every coin, right? There's believing that you have no limitations, and then there's believing that you don't have limitations.
Right.
And it's very different, or it's a very small difference. But I think there's power in knowing what you are not good at.
Yeah.
So that you can put that energy into things that you are. I'm not talking about doubting yourself.
Right.
I'm just talking about the fact that we all have limitations.
Yeah.
We all are not, we all have things that we are not good at. We don't all have it all.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to continually know yourself, continually press in, and then attack what you're great at.
Yeah. And don't let your limitation be your excuse for not being able to do what you're called to do.
Yeah.
The hero of this story, she has a limitation, or at least we would consider it a limitation. She can't hear.
Sure.
But she doesn't see that as a limitation. And she steps out confidently and says, I'm gonna save my family. I'm gonna save the world. And my limitations are not gonna get in the way. In fact, she uses her limitation to her advantage to be able to get the solution to the problem. So yeah, you're right. All of us are limited, because look at all the other characters. They had their own limitations.
Right?
Right?
Yeah.
Her brother is dumb.
He wasn't dumb.
Okay.
He was just really dumb.
Scaredy cat.
He was a scaredy cat.
You know, mom
He just didn't
has
have
her
the self-confidence
Okay,
yet.
the baby. Well, what are babies good for?
The baby was
crying and pooping, right? The other male character, he's got his limitations because he's being held back by the loss of his family. So he has grief, and he doesn't. He's given up, right? You have this tribe or these people on this island. Their limitations is they think they're safe,
right?
And they don't realize that at any moment their safety can be done.
Can we just talk about how dirty they were? And they live on the water. Jump in the water. Like, take a bath.
It's an ocean. Have you ever been to the ocean? You can't take a bath in the ocean.
This is so unrealistic.
God.
All right, so we have
Fish poop in the ocean. Do you bathe in poop
ocean.
water?
Sometimes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah.
All right,
Wow.
so let's talk about the feel good and do good.
After that, what else is there?
We try to pull out a feel good, do good of every movie we see. Milton, what's your feel good?
Radio saves the day. Radio saves the day. You and I work in radio. We're radio guys.
Yes.
I just thought it was cool. You know, the studio, the on-air switch. He puts the listening device on the mic and kills all the monsters. I think it's awesome. You know. So radio. Hey, radio isn't dead. Tune in. After you watch this, go to your car and listen to the radio. 88.7 Project, 88.7.
And the do good is just don't give up. Don't let your imitations kind of hold you back. Go get it, and know what you're good for, and know what you're good at, and go get it. All right. So hey, that's it. That wraps up this edition of the Project Finding Good podcast. Really fun episode. Great movie, and thanks again to Village Cinema for hosting us. We want to make sure you get all the episodes that we are doing. We're releasing new ones every single week. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell, whatever you need to do to watch and listen to what's coming next. We'll talk to you soon.